Okay, now let's go ahead and add one more page, added it. Okay, we created and added it inventory, which is a stateful widget because we are going to track the state there and that. And then we created a state, added it inventory state. So the inventory has a name, current quantity, because uh, what we have is a form where you can enter the values and save those values. Once the values are been saved, these values will be updated there in these local variables. So this state would contain values of all the fields which are there in the form. Uh, so we have a text box for the name of the inventory, uh, another input box which accepts the current quantity, record quantity, unit. Unit is a combo box or a drop down box which pop up, which displays a list of units which are available there in the UI or for the application or for the particular item, and the frequency at which the purchase or the stock purchase has to happen, and the cost of the items per unit. This is the inventory model. If it is an editing case, this inventory would be valid. If it is not editing, this would be null. So once we start the application, what we do is we just this is a constructor of the state where this value would be passed from the add edit inventory widget itself. We would save that value here. Then we have a form key. So this is pretty much mandatory. This is just a validation for the input fields, and this is a helper function which would help us create this uh, input field. I will just quickly walk through this. This is a helper function which accepts couple of parameters, and based on that parameters the text widget would be created. So one of that parameter is a key. So the key is mandatory, and another one is what is the initial value of that. If you provide any initial values, that initial value would be updated there in the text widget. And what should be the title for the text widget? Say you have a widget, and above that you want to display small section which says what is the particular widget is. Then you can provide this value, and this is a hint text. Say if you don't provide any initial value, the hint text would be displayed with some grayed out state there in the text widget. And autofocus says whether this text particular widget needs to focus automatically when you hit the next, or when the page is loaded for the first time, or when the page is created. If you just move to the next item, whether this particular text field should validate by itself and throw an error immediately. So that's what is called auto validate. This is pretty much useful if you are going to create something like a username password field and you don't want to leave the username field empty. Then just provide this auto validate as true input type, whether it's a text field, whether it's a number field, or whether it's an email also is supported there and that. So you can use this field to provide a wide range of values, and it's pretty much useful also. And the validate, this is pretty much needed if you if you really want to validate the data which you enter. In our case we need it. And last is the form field setter, this on save method, which would give you the value of the function, sorry, the value of the field, which you can save that one onto the local variables which we have declared here. So this would be called when we call form save on the form. Even if you don't have the validator implemented, that's still fine. But if you really want to retrieve the value, you have to implement the form save method. This is a form field setter which would give you the value of the field when we call the validate on the form itself. This is nothing but a container which has a child, and the child is a column which has two elements there in that. The top one is the heading of the text field, and the second one is the text field itself. So it's pretty much simple, it's very easy to understand. So this is how we would actually go out and create this text field there and that. Then this is validator for different items, we have to pass it. So if you want to pass the inventory name validation, you have to pass the inventory name validator. This is a simple function which does check whether the value which we pass to this function, whether it's correct or not. If it is empty, we will throw some error. So next important thing which in our application or in that screen is the drop down. So this is the helper function which creates a drop down. Again, this is pretty much straightforward and easy to understand. Here what you can see is drop down take almost same parameters similar to what we have seen there in the text box widget. Here you have key, title, values, and the list of drop down menu items which are getting created here. This is the widget which is provided by Flutter. This is the drop down button field. You will pass all the parameters there in that and that would be created automatically. So this is what is create unit drop down button field. So now we will move on to the next part where we create a unit as well as a recurrence drop down item. So if you have noticed the code, what you can see here, we have the units where you have daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and invalid for the recurrence part, as well as you have grams, kilograms, liters, units, pounds, and invalid. So we are not interested in the invalid part when we are displaying this unit field to the user. We use the iterator or the values available there in the unit enum, and we just do the comparison and provide a meaningful name for everything there and that, and we just use the helper function which we created earlier. So this is one helper function which just takes the values and returns one drop down menu item. When the value gets changed, what it says is it will just give you the callback on value change callback. In that value change callback, you will get the value of the selected item that we can pass to the unit field which we declare locally. So this is the placeholder for the unit field in our code. So this guy would have the value there. Then we will call set state. So this calling this set state is very mandatory, because if you don't call set state, the UI won't get updated. Here this is what we actually added earlier. So construct drop down button field. So this function would return, after everything is set, it will call this with all the values so that a drop down with the menu items would be created. Here it is for the unit, and this is for the recurrence. The last part which we are going to see is the screen itself, added screen itself. It's again pretty much simple. There is nothing fancy here. As you can see that we are using all these values what we got earlier, and we are stitching everything together here. So if it is editing, we just show that editing this item with the name of the item. Otherwise we'll just display as a new stock. Then we are creating the individual text fields. Each text field we are giving a padding by using the size box. Around 16 pixels we are giving between each text fields. The first one is for the name, the second one is for the required quantity, then after that we give another 16 pixel padding, then again another current quantity text widget, then we would create the first drop down for the unit, then the recurrence drop down is created, then the last one is the cost per item. So this is how we actually create. If you see that, then validators also are given here. Now the fun part is actually using the floating action button. So without providing any implementation, then the floating action button, it is useless. So what we do here, here it's actually for the save part. So what we do, we will see whether the icon for the floating action button, whether it should be plus or whether it should be save. If it is for edit, we will just display a tick mark there. If it is for new, we would just display a plus mark there. And again, this is pretty much straightforward. We would just validate the form first, then we are creating the new inventory model because it's a new inventory we are creating. This is how you can do that, and you can see how easy it is, and all the values we are just assigning it, then we are just calling save and just popping this uh, screen from the context. So all things can be done in 5 to 10 lines of code. This is a separate screen which is going to be created. As it accepts some values, we cannot actually push this to in the route. So instead we have to create it and pass it in a new navigation route. That's what we are going to do next. Here what we are doing is we are just going to do return of the add edit screen. So import add edit inventory we did, then we just do return of that. Return new add edit inventory. The model which we had to pass is the model null because it's a new entry. That is one thing. Now we will just quickly deploy this and verify whether this works as expected. Okay, so now we have seen that it took a while to load this store. We don't know why I don't know how I took that much time, but anyway, what we will do is we just hit on this. Yep, now we have seen that we have created a new screen. We'll go ahead and add this milk. How much quantity you need? I need 1 bottle. How much is left? Okay, I just provided 1 because it does not accept 0 at present. Yep, it's a daily, and say for example it's $10. Yep, we'll just add one more banana. I need, so for example 5 kgs. How many kgs left? 2. For time being we will just give some values. This for learning purpose only. Anyway, it's a weekly purchase, and say we spend $20 there and that. Now we have seen that we created a list, created the application where you can enter some values, read the values and save the values to the database. So what should happen when you tap on this list item? One tap. So basically what we have to do is we have to create the new added screen. So this is the same piece of code which we used earlier. Pass model. That's it. So let's quickly verify whether it works. Yep, it is working. Another best way to implement this is passing this callback function as a dependency injection in this constructor of inventory item. So when the button is or list item is tapped, what we can do is we can call the callback which was passed to this function, passed to this class, and there you can actually add all the business logic. But for demonstration purpose, I think I have implemented something like this. So now our last piece of thing is we have to add the stats page. Implementation on the stat page is very simple. What we could do is it's again a stateful widget. This is exactly same as, almost same as what we have in the home page. Only thing which is different is that this one don't have all the fancy list widgets and everything. It has only a couple of text widgets. So I'm just keeping this one as is. You guys can check out the code and see how that is implemented, because it's fairly straightforward and easy to do that. What we have is a one single screen. There on the middle of that you have two text widget, and the text widgets are going to get updated data based on the value which we receive there in the store, which or based on the value which we have there in the store. So if you see that we have only one test, this is the title of that one, then a total inventory is there, that is heading or kind of heading. Then you have the total number of um, items there in that one. It will display how many items are there. So this is actually in a column fashion, this is actually there. Next is you have another one, a total sum, and it would how much is that you already spent. So that's what the total sum means. So to make this work, what we have to do is we need to add another route. All right, let's see whether it works. Okay. Now that you have seen all the functionalities, how it is working and how we can create screens very easily, now what we will do is we will provide some functionality here. So as you have seen that we have added functionality for this home page where you can click on the remove all and it will automatically go and remove everything. So so this is what it does. So main purpose of this tutorial was to show how we can create a framework easily. We have created this framework maybe less than 1 hour. We took a little bit more time to explain it, but it would take maximum 1 hour if you have done the job right. And then we have added all the other components, all the UI elements, everything, and that would take approximately another 1 or 2 more hours. So basically you can create an entire application maybe in a half a day or a day. So this is very simple application. This is just to demonstrate how the framework works and how we can pass data deep in the widget tree hierarchy. Here, as you have seen, we didn't provide functionality for this art bulk button. Why we did not do that is we wanted to make sure that all the basic functionalities are working fine. Okay, now we have seen that there are a few things which are missing here, that we are going to import inventory model. This is inventory model. We are using some random word generator, so that we had to use the units. Yep. So we have done with that. Now I'll be calling this from some of the widget which we have added earlier here. That's it. Functionality for adding bulk is added. Let's try to add 100k records and see how it looks. Yep, I hit once. Let me see if it is doing any job at all. As you can see, it added all the records. It might have taken a while, but you can see I hit twice, so it inserted 200k. I hit once, so almost it took maybe a maximum of 5 seconds. Okay, when we start the application, we will generate the noun and keep it here. We'll see how that works. Okay. I just created 1 million words. Okay, now we have seen it generated everything very quickly. Like, we'll just delete once. 1, 2, 3. So it's less than 2 seconds. You have 100 records added. Just add once again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now in another 2 seconds you have, or 4 seconds here, 200 records. So this is how it works basically, and as you have seen that we are waiting on all these kind of events here. Now that you have seen how effectively we can create this application using the framework which we created, later what we can do in the next next section, we will compare the performance of this application. We will compare the performance of this application with some of the applications available there. We will use the same data set. We will use the same mechanism there also, and see how good our framework works in almost all scenarios.